IGN gave Concord a 7. Where?
Grab a copy of Overwatch off some dusty GameStop shelf and rub it under the musky armpit of the Guardians of the Galaxy's Peter Quill, and you might have something close to the feeling of Concord, complete with immediately charming characters rendered in gobsmackingly.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real, not a single one of those characters is charming. Also, saying that it plays it safe and then giving it a 7 is wild.
Beautiful cutscenes, and ability-based PvP combat that never addresses why those characters are fighting one another when they're clearly allies in said cutscenes. But just because it doesn't offer much in the way of innovation, doesn't mean Concord isn't fun to play.
Yeah, but I could just play Overwatch and not have to look at eyeball vomit. I don't even know nothing about this game. I just don't really give a fuck because it's so ugly. Like, and it's free? Yeah, Overwatch. Wait, do you have to pay for this game? I just assumed it was free. $40? $40 you have to pay? Just play Overwatch. It looks better and it's free. What the fuck?
Over 40 very enjoyable
There's only 100 players. How do you see how many players are playing the game? Where do you see that? Dude, when did this release? A week ago. It released exactly 7 days ago. And it has 123 players? They're going into less than triple digits within a week? Is insane. That's insane. In 1 week, they are going down below 100 players. Like, can you even do matchmaking at that point? Can they even do proper matchmaking at that low?
Hours into the sweaty shooter, and it overwhelmingly nails its class-based gunplay. That rock-solid foundation certainly carries it quite a long way, but with
You know what I notice about IGN reviews is across the board, every single time they show gameplay, it is someone who is absolutely dog shit. He's literally like throwing abilities at nothing at the ground. They don't they're so bad. When I watched the Woo-Wah review, they were playing Woo-Wah like shit.
only a few by-the-numbers game modes and no killer features to shake up the genre, it still has a lot of growing to do during its live service evolution.
Right? So, by the way, they've said absolutely nothing positive about the game in the first minute, except for the characters are charming, which was a fucking lie, and that they look nice, I think, was that the cutscenes looked nice. That's it. That's the only positive things they've said, and one of them is just straight up a lie.
You and your squad will form a 5-person team of super-powered characters, each with their own unique strengths, weaknesses, and special abilities, and then bring them to bear against an opposing team in a variety of formulaic game modes.
Like, they've done nothing but say little jabs at the game. Formulaic game modes. That didn't try anything new. Not innovative. Like, huh?
Standard deathmatch mode, a kill-confirmed mode called Trophy Hunt, and a zone control mode called Clash Point, to name a few, none of which possess even the slightest hint of novelty, but being overly familiar isn't necessarily a bad thing if you've got best-in-class gunplay and awesome characters with compelling powers to back it up. And boy,
a lot of these look like you're playing Overwatch, but ugly, to be clear. This looks like Overwatch gameplay, but ugly. Just play Overwatch. At least you won't be probably put in a match with bots at best, if you even get a match in this game. What the fuck is this? Also, again, holy fuck, it's so ugly. I know. That's like the only word I can think of, though, to describe how this is. Like, even the environments are so bland and fucking ugly.
boy, Concord has got both of those down pat. Concord sagely keeps its weapon selection very slim, with just 1 or 2 options given to each character by default, and no way to customize that. But the upshot here is that every single weapon feels incredibly responsive and finely tuned.
Ah, okay, so the gunplay works, therefore it's really good. Like, I'm sorry, that's like the basis of the game, is that the gunplay is at least decent. But like, if you want really good gunplay, you're not going to want to play Overwatch either. You know what you're probably going to play is something like Valorant or CSGO. For really, really high quality, exact, responsive gunplay, you're going to play different games. For a hero shooter, what you're gonna play for is the abilities and the characters look like shit. But basically any game that primarily has guns in it should have good gunplay. This is not like, oh my god, they have good gunplay. Yeah, no shit. That's the point of the game. It's got guns. That's like the main thing that you're doing.
And no two characters have weapons that feel at all similar. The arena-controlling old lady Duchess wields the submachine gun that's devastating at close range, while the sneaky and tactical Vale mostly relies on this long-range sniper rifle to take out enemies from afar.
Yes, a machine gun and a sniper rifle do tend to feel special and different. I agree. I'm glad that they somehow, I know it's like really difficult to differentiate these two weapon classes, but the machine gun, the submachine gun, and the sniper rifle feel different. And that's so good. That's so sick. Because, you know, sniper rifles and submachine guns usually have a very similar level of gameplay. They feel very similar. Like, what is the glazing? This is like the basis of fucking shooter games. What is this?
All 16 options feel really good to use once you've figured out their tricks, and combining them with the 4 other characters on your team to serve a specific purpose, whether it be charitable support character, DPS king, or damage absorbing tank, is a lot of fun to play around with.
I'm sorry, maybe I'm just an IGN hater, I'm gonna be honest, but we're like glazing crazy that like this is so good, it's so good. You're literally just you're literally just talking about aspects of the genre. Like he's like, oh my god, it feels so good to do this unique thing. That's literally what a hero shooter is. You're talking about the base mechanics of what a hero shooter is. Have I lost it? Am I wrong? Like, you're like, oh my god, I get to use my character who has unique abilities with the 4 other characters on my team who also have unique abilities. And together we make an interesting combination that is fun to play around. Yes, that is what a hero shooter is. You're just describing what a hero shooter is and then acting like, oh my god, it's like so good and different and special. Like, what?
Similarly, the abilities that complement their weapons are fantastic, diverse, and have very generous cooldowns, completely changing the way combat plays out depending on which character you're playing as.
When you play a hero shooter and you play different characters, they feel different to play in a hero shooter. That's so cool. Again, that's the point of the genre. Do you have anything that is not literally just talking about the genre to say about this game specifically? Because that's true in every other hero shooter known to man. When you play a different character, it feels different in a hero shooter.
Not all characters feel quite as original, like how Teo is the world's most generic soldier and comes equipped with a smoke grenade and cluster grenade as his 2 powers, but those bland options are few and far between.
Well, you need a little bit of bland options in any hero shooter or any like character unit-based game like that. You got Soldier 76 in Overwatch, you know? Sometimes you kind of need a bland character, but like also he's not described anything that was particularly interesting about any of these characters. And again, it's a hero shooter where the designs of the heroes are not very good. You understand? Like at base, if you're making a hero shooter game, the hero designs need to be good. Because that's the point of the game. Every other thing that has been talked about is praising a game for achieving the bare minimum of the genre that it is. Like, what are we talking about right now? What are we talking about?
Plus, they serve as an easy starting point for newcomers.
Yeah, that's the point of the bland characters.
Learning each character, using their abilities to counter the team comp of your opponents, and juggling the madness on the battlefield with top-notch gunplay was just as fun in my first match as it was in my 30th. In Rivalry, you cleverly aren't allowed to select the same character again if you win a round while using them.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. A hero shooter where you're not allowed to main a character effectively. Yeah, it's definitely, if we count innovation as quite literally just being different, yeah, very innovative. But usually for me, innovation would like probably need to be some form of better.
Since matches go to the best of 7 rounds, that means winning one will push you to get outside of your comfort zone.
God, this is so ugly. Literally, CSGO maps are cooler than this.
And use a minimum of 4 different characters. Not only is this a neat way to force people to master more than just 1 or 2 options, it also encourages communication with your team between rounds to ensure you've got proper coverage to play out whatever strategy you're trying to pull off as your options get slimmer.
That sounds like a great way to make people super duper fucking toxic in your game. Let's just be so entirely goddamn fucking for real. All that is going to do is encourage people to be insanely toxic. And also, no one plays a hero shooter because they want to be able to play every fucking character in the hero shooter. That's not how that works. It's like, yeah, is it different? Is it an innovation? Maybe. But nobody, like, that's how any character-based, hero-based game works. Like League of Legends even. Typically, you're gonna main max, like, 4 characters.
Choice is supported by another interesting wrinkle in Concord's character variants. Slightly different versions of existing characters that come with a unique perk and an altered appearance, which can be unlocked by completing specific objectives during matches. For example, the gunslinger Lennox can normally reload his weapon by dodging, while the variant you can unlock for him loses that ability, but gets more ammo for all of his weapons instead.
So a shittier, less cool version of like ultimate skins in First Descendant? At least in First Descendant, they take all their clothes off. You know, like, they change them so slightly too. Like, who wants this?
Offers mostly minor changes.
In a competitive game,
provide a meaningful thing to chase that offers more options in combat. Perhaps more importantly, they also give you the opportunity to fudge the numbers a bit in rivalry, since variants count as separate characters on your crew and therefore—
Dude, there's so many levels in which that is such shitty game design for a competitive game. I feel like maybe I don't have to explain that. Is it okay if I don't explain why that is shitty game design and we just all understand that it is inherently shitty fucking game design, especially for a competitive game? Because to recap, you can work to get variants that slightly change the appearance and also alter their abilities, possibly to make them stronger, but they count as a separate hero in a game that encourages you to play like every hero via the ranked. That's so ass.
4 let you play as the same characters in multiple rounds. With 16 likable characters front and center, you'd think story would be a major focus, but sadly, this is an area that's woefully lacking. With just 2 cutscenes right now to flesh out small bits of lore, Concord's strategy is to slowly drip-feed players with short snippets of story over a long period of time.
Now let's establish roots, Glance.
I don't think they're likable because I don't like to look at them. They don't need to have the aboba and the asa out. I'm okay if they're not like 10 out of 10 sexy hottie awooga type characters. I'm all right with that. All right. However, they're ugly. And I don't like looking at them. Stop making me look at them, in fact. It's not fair.
Subsidized by the Galactic Guide, a map filled with nodes where you can read about the locations and characters. I've spent a fair bit of time scrolling through this sizable library of short descriptions, and though much of it is well written, it's a pretty poor substitute for in-game storytelling that I worry won't come often enough to keep me invested. Great characters squandered by a complete lack of narrative is basically a hallmark of the hero shooter genre at this point.
Yeah, because the point of the game is not the story. What? I'm sorry if you want... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This is like such a dumb criticism. It's a hero shooter that you continue playing because of the competitive PvP aspects of the game. Yeah, there's not going to be as much emphasis on story. That's not the point of playing it. If you want games that are based around the story, gacha games are a great live service option, or play single player games. Why are you playing a competitive PvP hero shooter for the story? I think this is such an inane, shitty, like, this is a dumb criticism. It is an irrelevant criticism when there's so much to be criticized that they have just like, either they've just not criticized at all.
But it definitely doesn't get any easier to swallow that especially bitter pill. If developer Firewalk sticks with building out the galaxy over time, it could end up being a major draw, but for now it's extremely thin and also quite disconnected from the PvP action you spend all your time with. And a pretty big waste of a cast that has lots of potential.
Set your expectations low.
Concord's game modes are much less inspired than its characters as well. Of the 6 currently available,
the characters are inspired by what? I'd love to know the inspiration. I'd love to know.
none of them possess more than a modicum of originality. For example, Signal Hunt is a King of the Hill mode where you fight to control one spot on the map until it moves elsewhere, and Area Control is, well, a zone control mode where you fight over control of 3 static zones.
Yeah.
While none of these milquetoast ideas are especially offensive, it certainly highlights a major issue with Concord: a lack of any signature game mode that sets this hero shooter apart from the other options out there.
Well, that's because they designed the characters to be what set it apart. And set it apart from other games in terms of character design, it does. It's definitely distinctive on that level, Jesus Christ! But yeah, I mean, yeah, the shooter games tend to copy over each other's game modes. It's kind of how it works. But I mean, let's just be real. Concord wanted to be, I don't know, woke Overwatch? I don't know. I hate using that word. It's so like cringe. They try to be different while being the same, and instead they just look like shit. But like the thing is about Overwatch is that Overwatch is already incredibly diverse. Overwatch is already incredibly inclusive in the variety of characters that are on that roster. And so I don't understand what this game, why was this game made? What was supposed to be like the point of this game? Legitimate question. And also, why is it paid? Who, like, I'm gonna be honest, in 2024, why the fuck are we making a live service game paid? If it's live service, you don't get to ask for money to play it. If it's live service, you need to monetize intelligently and make it free to play, period. That's how it works. Nobody's paying $40 to do your shitty Overwatch clone. Ugly Overwatch clone.
Love it or hate it, Overwatch's spin on its iconic escort mode made it a defining selling point, even if that idea was
Also that the characters weren't fucking ugly!
admittedly borrowed from Team Fortress 2 before it. Meanwhile, Concord has a handful of the world's most generic modes I intrinsically understood and was preemptively bored by before I even played them.
I thought he felt like it was a fresh experience every time or some shit earlier, just pointing that out.
That's a pretty big miss for a hero shooter that already badly lacks ways it sets itself apart.
No, I think it's out to... Hey, I think it sets itself apart very effectively. I personally believe, in my opinion, that it sets itself apart very, 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 very effectively, just not by the gameplay.
The 12 designed maps shake out a lot better than the bland game modes though, and I largely enjoy running around Concord's arenas, which feature lots of zigs and zags.
Oh, this has purple on it. That's exciting. This entire area is not completely shit brown, beige, or gray. This has purple. It's making my brain happy to see a color.
Really, my
Cool.
only issue is that some of these maps are a tad larger than 5.
The way that you run looks weird as fuck to me. I don't know why that is. Maybe I'm not like enough of a gamer to identify why the running animation looks insane, but it does. The hands move, but they're skiing. It's the hands. Like the hands, you know what it is I think the hands look like they're moving faster than they're running. Like the arms look like they're like sprinting, but you're going not a sprinting speed. And yeah, that no head bob does look weird. Like it's a very still movement and it's like just your hands moving way faster than your body seems like it's moving. It looks really weird. This feels weird as fuck when they're running.
Concord isn't the most innovative or content-heavy hero shooter you could play, but with such fantastic competitive gameplay, 16 compelling characters to master, and 12 well-designed maps, it's got the makings of something that could go the distance in the months and years to come.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't think there have been bad releases where the game has redeemed itself over time. I don't think that there's ever been this bad of a release that has redeemed itself over time. And a lot of that, again, is because it's a live service Overwatch copy that you have to pay $40 to even try. Making this $40 absolutely destroyed this game when it already had a bad rep. But yeah, no, I don't think this game is going the distance. That's crazy to say.
In fact, it's a testament to its FPS chops that even while it has a virtually non-existent story and a serious need for a signature game mode, I still found myself losing dozens of hours to its PvP charms.
Dozens of hours is baby shit, I'm gonna be real. As a real game. I've spent dozens of hours playing TFT in the last couple weeks, like 2 or 3 weeks max. That's not much. Quiet down.
Hopefully, the live service roadmap will do its thing and show this promising shooter the love it needs to become something truly special. But right now, it's at least good enough for me to recommend trying out.
7 is crazy. Didn't they give Woo-Wah a 7? This shit ass. This shit ass. This shit ass. It looked like ass. Every single thing that they mentioned was ass. Like, it's just riddled with bad game design. Like, just objectively, it's like, it's not even bad game design where you really need to know anything about game design to identify why it's bad. Because there's, like, game design stuff where, like, a lot of people just aren't going to know enough. Like, I'm probably not going to know enough to know why it's not that good. However, like, this is game design stuff where if you literally just, like, think it out to the end of the thought for, like, a couple seconds, you're gonna understand that it is not a good idea. Like, it's a bad design. It's a bad concept. Yeah, that was it was definitely an IGN review. It was definitely an IGN review. That was interesting. I enjoyed watching that very much. I was not expecting. IGN smoking the premium Zaza. Yeah, probably from all the money they make from these unpaid interviews. It's just the ad revenue. IGN is the lol count of games journalism. I feel like that's actually pretty accurate, yeah.